the history rug came about when I finished the marriage rug. That was on my mother's side of the family. The marriage rug was from my grandparents, which I had such a wonderful life with them visiting. I couldn't do my rugs without having that part of my life. And so I needed something for my dad's side of the family, and I decided to do this one. It is an adaptation of a hooked rug at Seasons at Seven Gates Farm. I believe it was in the book. Through a friend, I got permission from Kramer and Johnson to do an applique version of the rug, and that's how this came about. That is where this pattern came from. It's very similar to the hooked rug, and I believe it's in Seasons at Seven Gates Farm book. I'm not absolutely sure, but it was at their farm. So I believe this will be my last kit of old rugs. And I will explain as I go through and show you what this rug kit is about. It's not exactly the same as this one. It's a little bit different in shading. I do have two colors. One is a brown like this, but then I have another that's like a khaki, like the old army blankets type wool. And I thought it would look nice with that shade. Now, as far as doing the rug as I did it, I'm not sure you will want to do it that way. What I did, the reason for Sally in 1752 was Sally was the name of the boat that my original Swan White heritage. They came from Germany on the boat Sally in 1752. And these are the descendants of that family. And one of them is my side of the family, where my dad's family came from. I have Lucas's name on one of the birds. Avery is the little bird, and I'm not that's Krista, I think, and that's Luke, and I'm over here. That's my initials. This is the initial of my grandparents, my grandparent and grandmother, and then I have some other dates on it. And on the back, I chose to have a pocket. Now, when I show you what's in the kit, you can decide if you want to make a pocket, but I thought a pocket would be good to put photographs and things like that in. And then I had a separate piece on the back, and I actually wrote that in ink, and that was very, very difficult to do and not make a mistake. So that's actually ink pen writing on the cloth. I've used the variation of a blanket stitch. It's the it is a blanket stitch, but it's the one where you turn your needle. And I have a pattern for it, so you'll receive a pattern with it. A V-stitch, it's called. You can do absolutely any stitch you want. That's how to do the V-stitch. It's just a variation of the blanket stitch, only you put your needle in sideways instead of up and down. So that's very simple to do if you'd like to do that, but The threads that I used is embroidery floss, so there are no threads with the kit. Now, as far as doing the front with the embroidery, I definitely would not turn. They would need to be cut, and then you do the V-stitch, or the blanket stitch, or another type of decorative stitch. So now I want to tell you a little bit about the blankets that are in this kit. The blanket for the base, the green and the brown, was a Trapper Point blanket from the Hudson Bay Company, made in England, and it was for Eaton's. Eaton's was one of our catalogs, like Simpson's Ears, I think. You may have that in the States. I don't know if you have Eaton's. But Eaton stopped and did not produce any more catalogs, or did not have any business since 1976. Now, the tag does have a number on it, so I assume that would be anywhere between after the Second World War and 1976. And one of the blankets does have the marks on it for the Hudson Bay blanket. So that is what you're getting in the kit. A very old, from Eaton's catalog, or maybe the store, I don't know. Made in England, Hudson Bay blanket. The blanket that I'm using for the decorations, the applique, that was very unusual. These are some of the pieces from it. It was hand stitched on the edge. It had stripes. It does have wool in it, but I'm not sure what else is in it, but it's thin. It is just an absolutely beautiful blanket. I really hated to use it, but it was just wonderful, and I thought it was just perfect for this. So I have the applique, I have the Hudson Bay, all very old wool. And so I needed something for the back and for the binding, because I didn't have enough of this for the binding. So I just happened to find a very old, I'm not actually sure what it was. Was it a tablecloth perhaps? But it was very thin, very old, and very worn. Very soft. The look, even before it was dyed, it was old. Well used and old. And so I cut the lining, the back, out of that. Isn't that pretty? And it goes so nice with the greens and with that. So that is what will be in your kit. Now there'll be no thread, and there will be no, and there is enough to make a pocket, because it's much larger than the back needs to be. So you have enough to bind it, and then you have enough to cut it if you want to, and do the pocket. Now, the other part is, these are all heavily aged. And if you know me, which if you're watching my video, you probably do, that's how I do things. I want the whatever textiles, whatever wool, whatever cottons I'm using, I want it to be aged and old as much as possible before it's stitched. After it's stitched, then it does need to have that finishing touch. And by finishing touch, I mean, I do have a video, and you use water and you use your hands to press it. And it does make a huge difference. You do never use an iron and steam and that sort of thing to press it. It can be aged, and this is the time when I would use the onion dye. I would dilute it, and I have that in the video that is on my YouTube channel about aging rugs. You would then use the diluted onion dye after you've had the blanket wet, the rug, and you would then age it a bit more. And all of my rugs have gone through that process. This one has, every rug I've made has gone through that process. And it's, how can I explain it? If you're a quilt maker, it's about the same as if you would stitch all of your pieces together and not iron as you go. You would have all of these pieces stitched and they haven't been pressed. So same with maybe making a dress or something like that. We don't press and do that when we make a rug, but that's the process that has to be done, at least I believe it is, to make the rug look old. Steaming it, using an iron, and I know you do that with your hooked rugs, but that just, for me, that just doesn't work. So, that is, I think, everything to show you about the kit, what's in the kit. The binding, I have a 2-inch binding, which is more than enough, but I did not cut it. I tore the fabric, so it's a straight of grain, and you're just doing a rectangle, so you're not going around curves or anything. Now, I want to show you, and I'm going to do 2 videos. I'm going to do this one, and this is for the greens, and then and this for the lining. And then I'll do another video, and I only have 4, I believe, of the brown shades. So I think what I will do first is, most important is the wool. So we'll do that first. And I'll show you, hopefully I'll find the one with the points on it. I'll show you the wool. There are 8 of these. Really nice wool. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. And I want to talk a bit about what's going to happen with Mama and the closet. I have decided that I'm probably doing things all wrong. And by saying that, I mean, it's been probably 2017, 2018 was probably the last year that I designed and stitched a rug. And that is wrong. That is very, very wrong. There is just something that needs to be done about that. Aren't they beautiful? And it depends on what side you use. When you get your kit, it will look different than probably on the video, but you can choose which side if you want more green. One side will have more green probably than another, and that sort of thing. So the things that I really, really love to do is I love to dye wool, as you know. The other thing that I really, really love to do is design rugs. But in order to do that, it needs to be a challenge for me. And circle rugs are not a challenge for me. I have long gone beyond circle rugs as being a challenge because they are so easy. There are things that you can do, yes, to make different designs, but basically when you're finished, it's circles and circles and more circles. And so, as you know, I am doing my dye recipes. I will be having courses and selling the courses online with some sort of a program, Teachable or something like that. But I also am going to do something a bit different. What I would like to do is to get back to stitching and to get back to designing and creating, instead of trying to get rid of that huge pile of wool that I have and redoing what I've already done. And once I do a rug, I don't want any more to do with it. I don't even keep them. I mean, these rugs belong to Lucas and Avery. I just bored them. But I just don't, I have one rug that I kept, which is the Halifax rug. And that is because that was photographed in early American life when I was one of the designer craftsmen there. So I want the challenge, I want to design, and I want to only make one of. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start designing. I'm going to do reproductions of antique rugs. I'm going to take, whether they are antique applique rugs in wool or they are hooked rugs that I, as I did with the history rug, redesign them into an applique. I'm going to do that and not sell kits, just one of, and sell the pattern, teach you how to do everything from start to finish, from getting the colors, dyeing the wool, little tricks how to do it, that sort of thing. And I will be selling the patterns. It will be sort of probably like a pattern club. They used to have those years ago, I remember. Oh, this is the one with the points. Can we see that? There's the points. You see them? It's 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 points. So, and on this side, maybe better. There. I think 3 points. I don't know what 3 points means in a Hudson Bay. But that is where I'm going from here. So I think this will be probably my last kit, although I do have so many odds and ends here. I already have the pennies on the go, and they are a bit slow because the penny cutter had a filling in his tooth, and of course we pound the pennies, right? And every time he would pound the penny, it would jar his tooth, and he had a really difficult time with that for a few days. So he had to take a break and get back to the, then he'll get back to the pennies after his tooth heals. I also have a lot of the old men's suiting when I did the Mrs. Brown sets. So I will have some of those to get rid of. And I do have dyed wool. I have a lot of dyed wool that needs to be ironed and put into bundles. But other than that, I've decided that I really don't need to get rid of that pile of wool. I have a place for it. I've kept it for over 20 years.